Do you know people who seem a lot like computers? I mean, in Seattle especially, you might have your suspicions about a few people, right? Well, back in the 20s, there was a guy who was famous for his amazing computer-like memory. He could look at this list or this totally made-up formula once and tell it back to you perfectly. And then, without looking, he could do it all again 15 years later. What, right? Yeah, when I heard about this, I was totally jealous, because it's not like we're good at remembering anymore. I mean, I don't even have to know my own home address or how to ever get back to my house, ever. From anywhere. But there were downsides to this talent of his. Because he remembered everything, he couldn't forget anything, which meant he couldn't generalize. And because all information had the same weight to him, nothing had personal meaning. So that list I showed you before meant as much to him as a letter from a friend, which is to say, not much at all. And while he was great at executing tasks, he was not comfortable with holding conflicting thoughts in his head, bounce them around, and just admit, yeah, I don't know. At the dawn of electronic technology, this guy actually had a job that was titled efficiency expert. And he was basically the same as our laptops. Computers are binary. They can execute either this or that. They're not programmed to just wait and see. Oh, and that thing? Sorry, but that's not the computer telling us, hey, let's just pause here for a moment and consider all the options before we proceed. That's just the spinning pinwheel of death, and it's just annoying. Technologists have loved what computers do well, less so of what humans do well. So we never got computers to behave more like us. Instead, we've been trained to think and act like computers. And this might be fine when, say, buying a pair of running shoes, or it's kind of chilly outside, so like a heating pad, you just type in best of running shoes, or like best of running shoes with heating pad. Compare results, select one, discard the rest, put that into a shopping cart, click to order, you're done. This is, however, less fine thinking when applied to people. And we do know this because think about it when it's applied to your awesome selves. Those online quizzes or health questionnaires, they're frustrating because there are never enough options for all the things you know you are at the same time. You're a fighter and a lover. You could be feeling down right now, but you're also laughing. And even a question like, are you happy? I mean, how do you answer that? Yeah, simple yes or no seems inadequate, so what you end up saying is, maybe. This is not a wishy-washy maybe. This is actually a demand for nuance and complexity. This is the definite maybe. Indecision at its finest. The definite maybe, when thinking about another person, especially someone you've never met before, allows you to consider mutually exclusive possibilities at the same time, because nothing is closed off. In that moment of maybe, that person could be anything and everything. They could give you foot massages all day and get their work done. And they'd be good at doing their work and naturally fabulous at giving foot massages. The definite maybe just means that your certainty about who they are is at a minimum, but your hope about who they might be is at a maximum. Computers can't do the definite maybe, so the real question is, can we create a space in technology for a kind of non-binary thinking that makes us feel like, yeah, we don't know enough yet, so we'd like to do more, especially about people? Is it possible to create a space in technology for the definite maybe. Well, yeah, of course. And my intrepid team and I have done it. And we did it in the realm of romance with a dating site called Siren. And it's for people to be able to meet for the first time online to hopefully connect in real life. It asks whether there are kinder ways to make strangers less strange to each other. So it refuses to treat people like bits of data in a binary system. It's open-ended, it's about hints and banter, and it's about discovery and not being forced to make a decision. So it offers the possibility of existing in the definite maybe. Now, if you have the good fortune of not being familiar with current dating sites, let me tell you, there are basically two kinds. The first requires you to put a ton of generic information about yourself to be sifted and sorted and matched, and the other is basically a few photos that you judge the entirety of another human being on. Both are essentially shopping for humans. And all of these sites are trending toward this entirely binary way of looking at people and judging people. It's like, yes, no, or check mark and big fat red X. Swipe left, swipe right. And the technologists who have created these sites, they actually seem puzzled as to why people are not behaving like good spreadsheets. It's like, well, data points 7452 and 559, they both checked off that they like travel and are outgoing, so why aren't they in love? Or like, this data point and that one, they swiped each other's photos as sort of hot, so clearly they should be having sex. Yeah. So it turns out data matching is not the same as human chemistry. And yet, we still think that, that somehow if this online information, we can actually choose based on these descriptions. But descriptions of people online, they have no context. And so that information is kind of useless. So while we're pretty good at sussing out what we mean in real life, there's all that other stuff around, so we know what each other means. But online, all that information has the same weight, so it's kind of useless. For example, if I say, are you into good food? Like, what does that mean? I mean, it could be oysters and champagne for you, only like a vegan salad bar, and like for me, it would have to be everything to do with steak. You just don't know. As well, a photo. What can a photo tell you about someone's personality? I mean, can a photo actually tell you if that person's going to make you laugh? And when you have these kind of shopping for humans, well, you're sort of ranking people. And so these sites have these like most eligible or hottest lists. But that's so weird because why would their rules apply to you when it's about one-on-one chemistry? Like, what's most eligible to them is certainly not most eligible to me, otherwise we'd all be dating the same person. So it's strange that somehow for a person that we might think of as being our companion and somebody who could see us for all the things that we are, we think we can sort of make a decision at the tap of a button. And yet, these sites still persist. We think that data and ranking and efficient decision-making are better. We don't get to stay in the definite maybe for very long. Instead, we're hell-bent on maximizing what we know for certain, but it leaves no room for hope and imagination. So maybe it's not surprising when 2 key surveys have reported that people's sense of loneliness has doubled in the last 10 years. I wanted an antidote to this. I wanted to create a space where you discovered something about someone that just made you go, huh, that's kind of cool. Tell me more. And the way we do it on Siren is actually quite simple. We ask good questions. And someone creative and thoughtful asks these questions every day, and everybody on Siren can actually join in, so it's like this big conversation. And because it's open to interpretation, and it's free response and not about checkboxes and multiple choice, and it's an answer to a question, so there's a context and you actually understand what people mean, it allows room for humor and for quirk and that crazy thing we call personality. And here's the thing. Knowing just enough makes you curious, but not knowing everything leaves space for intrigue, and that's when a person has a chance to surprise you. And when they've surprised you, they've got your attention, and that's when they can possibly tickle your imagination. So one of the questions on Siren was, what should be experienced in the real and not just on the screen? So you're thinking, it's not everything, by the way. There are plenty of things that are just good on screen. One guy said, Shakespeare and hockey, but not at the same time. Which I loved, because it was really true about both of those things. But also because it said something about being kind of highbrow and about being lowbrow, about being intellectual and also kind of physical, and because naturally it made me think of Shakespeare and hockey at the same time. So it made me really happy all that day to tell my friends, oh my God, this year it is totally about the Hamlet mullet. But this is really all I knew about this guy, so I really couldn't say yes or no, and frankly, I didn't want to. I just wanted to know more. And the ways that we ask questions on Siren, we hope that they make you feel kind of good about answering them, and that something about your unique experience can shine through. And it makes you curious when you see all the diverse answers, like who these people are in this community. So with a question like, where does rain sound best? Well, when you answer this, you actually go to a really beautiful psychological space. And so some of the answers were things like on top of a boxcar in the middle of New Zealand, or camping and hearing it on top of the leaves. Or like this person who said, on my record player, when purple. Oh yeah. So which of these make you curious? Maybe you want to strike up a conversation with that person and possibly meet in real life. So you get to activate all of your senses. Well, this wondering and imagining, this is what computers can't do, but it's what makes us human. So let's do better with technology and do a little less of what computers do well and a lot more of what humans do well. Let's create room in technology for curiosity and for intrigue, because there's always potential and you never know. So let's hold on to that sense of possibility. Let's hold on to that suspense of not quite knowing. Let's enjoy indecision for a change. And let's, for a moment longer, embrace the definite maybe. Thank you.